Jasmine Carter stood in her small studio apartment, organizing prints from her latest photography session with local children. Sunlight filtered through the window, casting warm shadows across the black and white images spread on her desk. Her phone suddenly rang, breaking the peaceful silence. Riley Bennett's name flashed on the screen. "Riley, hey, what's going on?" Jasmine answered, immediately sensing something was wrong from the first ring. "Jasmine, please tell me you're free tonight." Riley's voice came through strained and weak. "I need help desperately. I'm so sick I can barely move." Jasmine set down the photograph she was holding. Riley ran Elegance Events, a boutique company that catered to the city's wealthiest clients. They had been friends since college, supporting each other through every challenge and triumph. "What happened? Are you okay?" Jasmine asked with concern. "Some kind of stomach virus." "I've been sick all day," Riley explained between labored breaths. "But I have a client tonight, Jasmine. This is the biggest opportunity of my career. If I cancel, I'll lose everything I've built." Jasmine felt her heart sink. She already knew what was coming next. "I need you to cover for me," Riley continued quickly. "It's just hosting a private art gallery evening for one client. The space is already set up. You just need to be there, make sure everything runs smoothly, and be a gracious host." "Riley, I don't know anything about hosting high-end events," Jasmine protested, walking to her window. "I take pictures of kids at community centers. This is completely different. You're smart, charming, and you know about art from all your photography work," Riley insisted. "Jasmine, this client pays enough for one evening to cover my rent for 4 months. Please, I'm begging you." Making the choice, Jasmine closed her eyes, thinking about her own financial struggles. She worked 3 days a week at a community center teaching photography to children and spent the other days doing freelance photo sessions that barely covered her expenses. She had dreams of opening a full photography education center for underprivileged youth. But those dreams felt impossibly far away. "What exactly would I need to do?" Jasmine asked quietly. Relief flooded Riley's voice. "The event is at the Riverside Gallery Penthouse. It's a private showing of contemporary art for just one client. You arrive at 7, greet him, walk through the gallery with him, answer any questions about the pieces, and make sure he has a wonderful experience. That's it? Just one person? Why would someone rent an entire gallery for themselves?" "He's extremely private and very wealthy," Riley explained. "His name is Ethan Monroe. He specifically requested an intimate, exclusive evening. The gallery owner already set everything up. You just need to be the perfect host." Jasmine bit her lip, weighing her options. The money would help tremendously, and Riley desperately needed this favor. "Okay, I'll do it. But you owe me forever. You're saving my life," Riley breathed. "I'll send you all the details right now. Just be yourself, Jasmine. Your natural warmth is what makes you special." Preparing for the unknown after ending the call, Jasmine looked through her closet with growing anxiety. She pulled out a simple black dress she had worn to a friend's wedding last year. It was elegant without being too formal, professional, yet approachable. She hoped it would be appropriate. Her phone buzzed with Riley's messages containing the address, access codes, and brief descriptions of the artwork on display. Jasmine studied the information carefully, researching each artist online. Contemporary art was not her specialty. She appreciated creativity in all forms. At 6 o'clock, Jasmine left her apartment and took the subway across town. The city transformed as she traveled, buildings growing taller and more luxurious. She emerged in a district she rarely visited, where designer shops lined spotless streets. The Riverside Gallery was housed in a sleek, glass building that reflected the orange glow of the setting sun. Jasmine entered the lobby and took the private elevator to the penthouse level. Her heart pounding with each floor they climbed. Entering a different world, the elevator doors opened directly into the most breathtaking space Jasmine had ever seen. Floor 2 ceiling windows showcased a panoramic view of the city skyline and the river beyond. The gallery itself was a masterpiece of modern design, with white walls providing the perfect backdrop for bold, colorful contemporary artworks. Soft lighting illuminated each piece beautifully. Abstract paintings, striking sculptures, and thought-provoking installations filled the space with creative energy. Jasmine walked slowly through the gallery, genuinely captivated by the art surrounding her. "You must be from Elegance Events," a voice said behind her. Jasmine turned and felt her breath catch. The man standing before her was nothing like she had imagined. Ethan Monroe appeared to be in his mid-30s, with thoughtful gray eyes and dark hair that looked casually perfect. He wore a well-tailored navy suit without a tie, the top button of his white shirt undone. Something about his presence commanded attention without demanding it. "Yes, I'm Jasmine," she managed to say, offering her hand. "I'm filling in for Riley tonight. She wasn't feeling well." "Ethan Monroe," he replied, his handshake firm and warm. "I hope Riley recovers quickly." When their hands touched, Jasmine felt an unexpected spark of connection. His eyes held hers for a moment longer than necessary, and she noticed the hint of a smile playing at his lips. "This collection is extraordinary," Jasmine said, gesturing to the artwork around them. "Have you been following these artists for long?" The chemistry begins Ethan's expression brightened with genuine interest. "Some of them, yes. I've been collecting contemporary art for about 5 years now. There's something about seeing the world through someone else's creative vision that makes life feel more expansive." Jasmine smiled, feeling some of her nervousness fade. "I completely understand that. I'm a photographer, and I feel the same way when I look through my lens. Art helps us see what we might otherwise miss. A photographer." Ethan's interest clearly deepened. "What do you photograph?" "Mostly children at community centers," Jasmine explained, her passion evident in her voice. "I teach photography classes to kids who wouldn't otherwise have access to cameras or creative education. Watching them discover their own artistic vision is incredibly rewarding." Ethan studied her face with an intensity that made her heart race. "That sounds far more meaningful than most things wealthy people spend their money on." "Why are you working as an event host tonight?" Jasmine laughed softly. "Helping a friend and earning some extra money. My photography work doesn't exactly pay well, but I love it too much to give it up." "The best things in life rarely come with comfortable paychecks," Ethan said thoughtfully. "Shall we look at the art together?" "I'd love to hear your perspective as a fellow creative." As they began walking through the gallery, Jasmine felt the evening taking an unexpected turn. This was not going to be a simple hosting job. Something real and electric was sparking between them, and she had no idea where it would lead. Jasmine and Ethan moved slowly through the gallery, pausing before each piece. The city lights began twinkling outside as dusk settled over the skyline. Soft instrumental music played in the background, creating an atmosphere of intimate elegance. "This one speaks to me," Ethan said, stopping before a large, abstract painting. Bold strokes of crimson and gold clashed against deep blues and blacks. "It feels like chaos and order fighting for dominance." Jasmine tilted her head, studying the piece from different angles. "I see a sunrise breaking through a storm." The artist is showing us that beauty often emerges from conflict. Ethan turned to look at her, his gray eyes reflecting the painting's warm colors. "That's a much more hopeful interpretation than mine. Do you always look for the light in things?" "I try to," Jasmine admitted. "When you work with children who face difficult circumstances, you learn to find hope wherever it exists. Otherwise, the darkness becomes overwhelming." They continued through the gallery, their conversation flowing naturally from art to philosophy to personal dreams. Jasmine found herself sharing stories about the children she taught, describing how a shy girl had recently captured a stunning photograph of morning dew on a spider web. "She told me she never knew she could create something beautiful," Jasmine said, her voice filled with emotion. "That moment, when someone discovers their own creative power, that's what I live for." Revealing hidden dreams, Ethan listened with complete attention, asking thoughtful questions and genuinely engaging with everything she shared. Jasmine noticed how different he seemed from the typical wealthy clients she had imagined. There was a sadness in his eyes, a loneliness that resonated with her own occasional feelings of isolation. "What about you?" Jasmine asked, as they stood before a sculpture made of twisted metal and glass. "What drives you? Riley mentioned you're private, but she didn't tell me what you actually do." Ethan smiled slightly. "I develop software for medical research. My company creates programs that help scientists analyze genetic data more efficiently. The goal is to accelerate disease treatment discoveries. That's incredible, Jasmine said sincerely. You're literally helping save lives. In theory, Ethan replied, his voice carrying a note of dissatisfaction. In practice, I spend most of my time in meetings about funding rounds and market projections. The actual meaningful work happens in laboratories I rarely visit anymore. Jasmine heard the frustration beneath his words. You miss the purpose behind the profit. Ethan looked at her with surprise and something like relief. Exactly. How did you know that? Because I see the same thing in your eyes that I feel sometimes, Jasmine said honestly. That fear that you're drifting away from what actually matters, that the daily grind is slowly burying the dreams that used to keep you awake at night. The truth emerges. They move to a quiet corner of the gallery, where comfortable chairs faced the floor-to-ceiling windows. The city stretched before them like a sea of lights. Ethan gestured for Jasmine to sit, and he took the chair beside her. I need to be honest about something, Ethan said, his voice serious. Tonight wasn't really about viewing art. Jasmine's heart skipped a beat. What do you mean? I've been attending charity galas and business dinners for years, Ethan explained, looking out at the city, surrounded by hundreds of people, yet feeling completely alone. Everyone wants something from me. A donation, an investment, an introduction to someone else. I can't remember the last time someone asked me what I actually care about. He turned back to face her. I hired Elegance Events specifically requesting an intimate, authentic evening. I wanted one night where I could talk to someone real, someone who wasn't performing or networking. I was hoping for genuine human connection. Jasmine processed this revelation, unsure how to respond. So this was all planned? The private gallery? Just one guest? The setting was planned, Ethan admitted. But this, what's happening between us right now, I never expected this. You've turned what I hoped would be a pleasant evening into something extraordinary. Sharing vulnerabilities, Jasmine stood and walked to the window, her mind racing. Behind her reflection in the glass, she could see Ethan watching her carefully. I don't understand. You have everything. Success, wealth, the power to change the world through your work. How can you be lonely? Ethan joined her at the window, standing close enough that she could feel the warmth of his presence. Money doesn't create authentic relationships, Jasmine. Most people in my life see me as an opportunity, not as a person. They laugh at my jokes because they want something, not because they find me genuinely funny. They agree with my opinions because I sign their paychecks. He paused, his voice becoming softer. But you challenged my interpretation of that painting. You shared your real passion without calculating how it might benefit you. You're treating me like a regular person, and I can't tell you how rare and precious that feels. Jasmine turned to face him, seeing vulnerability in his expression that made her chest tighten. That sounds incredibly isolating. I'm sorry you've experienced that. What about you? Ethan asked gently. You're working multiple jobs, teaching children with limited resources, dreaming of something bigger. Do you ever feel like your dreams are impossible? Jasmine nodded slowly. Every day. I want to open a full photography education center for underprivileged youth. Okay, a place with professional equipment, exhibition spaces, mentorship programs. But the financial reality feels crushing. I'm barely covering my rent while trying to save for something that would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. A moment of truth. Ethan moved closer, his gray eyes intense and sincere. What if I told you that meeting someone who actually cares about making a difference, who pursues beauty and meaning despite the financial cost, that's worth more to me than any business deal I've closed this year? Jasmine felt her pulse quicken. Ethan, I'm not sure what you're saying. I'm saying that tonight has reminded me why I got into medical research in the first place, he said, his voice filled with emotion. I wanted to help people. Somewhere along the way, I forgot that the measure of success isn't quarterly profits. It's the difference you make in actual human lives. He reached out and gently took her hand. You're making that difference every day with those children. You're teaching them to see beauty and find their voice. That's real success, Jasmine. That's what matters. Tears pricked Jasmine's eyes at the sincerity in his words. No one had ever validated her work with such genuine respect and understanding. Thank you for saying that. Sometimes I wonder if I'm just fooling myself, if I should be more practical. Please don't, Ethan said firmly. The world needs people like you who refuse to let practical considerations crush beautiful dreams. They almost kissed. They stood facing each other in the soft gallery lighting, hands still intertwined. The city sparkled beyond the windows, but neither of them noticed. The air between them felt charged with possibility and unspoken feelings. "This is complicated," Jasmine whispered. "I came here as hired help. You're a client. I don't even know if what I'm feeling is real or just the romance of this beautiful setting." Ethan lifted his free hand and gently touched her cheek. "I know it's complicated. I know we just met. But I also know that I haven't felt this alive, this genuinely connected to another person in years. That has to mean something." Jasmine's breath caught as he leaned closer. She could see the question in his eyes, asking permission without words. Her heart hammered against her ribs as she tilted her face upward, drawn to him by a force that felt both thrilling and terrifying. Just as their lips were about to meet, Jasmine's phone buzzed loudly in her purse. The sudden sound broke the spell. He stepped apart, both breathing hard. The moment suspended between what almost happened and what still could. Jasmine fumbled for her phone with shaking hands. It was a text from Riley asking how the evening was going. The message brought reality crashing back. She was supposed to be working, not falling for the client. "I should probably go," Jasmine said uncertainly, though everything in her wanted to stay. "This has been wonderful, but I don't want to complicate your evening or my friendship with Riley by crossing professional lines." Ethan ran his hand through his hair, looking torn. "What if I don't want you to go? What if I want to explore what this connection means? Invitation." Jasmine looked into his eyes and saw a genuine feeling there, not manipulation or casual interest. Ethan Monroe was offering her something real, something that could change her life in ways that had nothing to do with his wealth. "I want that too," she admitted softly. "But I need to think clearly, away from this beautiful space and this perfect evening. Everything feels heightened right now, magical even. I need to know if what I'm feeling is real." Ethan nodded slowly, understanding flickering across his face. "You're right. That's fair." He pulled out his phone. "Can I at least have your number? I'd like to see you again properly. Not as a client, but as someone who wants to know you better." Jasmine smiled despite her swirling emotions. "I'd like that." They exchanged numbers, and Ethan walked her to the elevator. As the doors began to close, he held them open for a moment longer. "Jasmine, I meant everything I said tonight. You've reminded me what it feels like to care about something beyond business. Thank you for that." "Thank you for seeing the value in what I do," Jasmine replied. "That means more than you know." As the elevator descended, Jasmine leaned against the wall, her mind replaying every moment of the evening. She had gone expecting to perform a simple hosting job. Instead, she had found a connection that felt profound and terrifying in its intensity. Her phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. "I'm already looking forward to tomorrow." Jasmine smiled, her heart full of possibility and hope. Whatever happened next, tonight had changed something fundamental inside her. She had been seen, truly seen, by someone who understood the value of following your passion despite the obstacles. And that recognition felt like the beginning of something extraordinary. Jasmine woke the next morning with her heart still racing from the previous evening. Sunlight streamed through her small apartment window, illuminating the simple space that suddenly felt different. Everything looked the same, yet she felt transformed by the connection she had experienced with Ethan. Her phone showed 3 missed texts from Riley, each more excited than the last. The final message read, "The client called this morning to say it was the best event experience he's ever had. He's requesting you specifically for future events and wants to discuss a major project." "Jasmine, what happened last night?" Jasmine stared at the messages, her stomach fluttering with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. Before she could respond, her phone rang. Ethan's name appeared on the screen. "Good morning," his warm voice came through. "I hope I'm not calling too early. I couldn't stop thinking about last night." "Good morning," Jasmine replied, unable to keep the smile from her voice. "I couldn't sleep much either. I want to see you again, Ethan," I said directly. "Not at a gallery, not at some formal event. Just coffee or a walk in the park. I want to continue our conversation without any pretense or professional boundaries." Jasmine's heart soared, but doubt crept in immediately. Ethan, I need to be honest. Last night was magical, but I'm scared. We come from completely different worlds. You live in penthouses and hire private galleries. I share a bathroom with 3 other apartments in my building. Facing reality, Ethan was quiet for a moment before responding. Those are just circumstances, Jasmine. They don't define who we are or what we could mean to each other, but I understand your hesitation. Can we at least meet for coffee? I promise to keep both feet firmly on the ground. Jasmine laughed despite her nervousness. Okay, coffee sounds good. They arranged to meet at a small cafe near the community center, where Jasmine taught. 2 hours later, she found herself sitting across from Ethan at a worn wooden table. Surrounded by local art on the walls and the smell of fresh coffee, Ethan looked different in casual clothes, more approachable somehow. He sipped his coffee and smiled. This is perfect. No pretense, no performance. Just 2 people talking. Tell me something real, Jasmine said, leaning forward. What are you actually afraid of? The question clearly caught Ethan off guard. He set down his cup, considering his answer carefully. I'm afraid of waking up at 60 and realizing I spent my entire life building something that doesn't actually matter. That I sacrificed genuine connection and meaningful experiences for numbers in a bank account. His honesty touched something deep in Jasmine's heart. I'm afraid of the opposite. That I'll wake up at 60, having pursued meaning and passion, only to realize I can't afford basic necessities. That my stubbornness about following my dreams will leave me with nothing. The proposal, Ethan reached across the table and took her hand. What if we could help each other face those fears? What if there's a way for both of us to have meaning and security? What do you mean? Jasmine asked carefully. I've been thinking about this all night, Ethan said, his eyes bright with excitement. Your dream of opening a photography education center for underprivileged youth. That's exactly the kind of meaningful project I want to support. Not as charity, but as a real partnership. Jasmine pulled her hand back, shaking her head. Ethan, no. I can't accept your money. That's not why I shared my dreams with you. I need to earn this myself, or it won't mean anything. I'm not offering charity, Ethan insisted. I'm proposing a genuine collaboration. You bring your vision, expertise, and passion. I bring funding and business infrastructure. We build something meaningful together. You'd maintain full creative control, and we'd structure it so you're not dependent on my ongoing involvement. Jasmine felt torn between desire and pride. Why would you do this? You barely know me. Understanding motivations, Ethan leaned back in his chair, his expression serious and thoughtful. Because meeting you reminded me why I got into medical research originally. I wanted to make a tangible difference in people's lives. But I've become so far removed from that impact that my work feels abstract, continued, his voice gaining intensity. Your education center would be different. I could see the direct impact. Watch children discover their creative voices. Witness real transformation happening in front of me. That connection to meaningful change, that's what I've been missing. Jasmine listened, seeing the genuine longing in his face. This wasn't about impressing her or buying her affection. Ethan truly needed this as much as she did, just for different reasons. I'm scared, Jasmine admitted softly. What if I accept your help, and then we realize this connection between us isn't real? What if it was just the magic of that one evening? I don't want our personal relationship to complicate a professional partnership. Those are valid fears, Ethan acknowledged. So let's address them directly. We can structure the partnership with clear legal boundaries. The education center would be its own entity, not dependent on our personal relationship. If things don't work out between us romantically, the center continues thriving. Wrestling with pride, Jasmine sipped her coffee, her mind racing through possibilities and concerns. I've always believed in earning my success independently. My parents worked multiple jobs to support my education. They taught me that anything worth having requires sacrifice and hard work. And you have sacrificed, Ethan said firmly. You're working multiple jobs, living with minimal resources, dedicating your time to teaching children for little pay. You've proven your commitment and work ethic. Accepting help doesn't diminish that. He leaned forward, his gray eyes intense. Think about those children you teach. If someone offered them a scholarship or free equipment, would you tell them to refuse because they need to earn it themselves? Or would you want them to accept the opportunity and use it to reach their full potential? Jasmine felt something shift inside her. She would never tell her students to refuse help out of pride. She would celebrate any opportunity that opened doors for them. Why was she holding herself to a different standard? "You're making good points," she admitted. "But I still need time to think about this. It's a huge decision." The deeper connection, Ethan nodded, respecting her boundary. "Take all the time you need. But while you're thinking, can I ask you something personal?" "Go ahead," Jasmine said. "Last night before your phone rang, were you going to kiss me?" Jasmine felt heat rise to her cheeks. "Yes, I was. And that terrifies me because I don't trust my judgment when everything feels so intense and overwhelming." "What if we slow things down?" Ethan suggested. "We spend time together with no pressure, no expectations. We get to know each other in normal circumstances. Meanwhile, you think about the education center proposal independently. Whatever you decide about the partnership doesn't affect whether we continue exploring this connection." Jasmine studied his face, looking for any sign of manipulation or hidden agenda. All she saw was genuine interest and respect for her autonomy. "Why are you being so patient and understanding?" "Most men would be frustrated by now," Ethan smiled softly. "Because you're worth the patience. And because rushing something this potentially significant would be foolish. I want to build something real with you, Jasmine. Both professionally and personally. Real things take time." Making the choice over the following weeks, Jasmine and Ethan spent increasing amounts of time together. They went to museums and small concerts. They cooked dinner in her tiny apartment and walked through parks discussing everything from philosophy to childhood memories. Slowly, Jasmine's initial hesitations began to fade. She saw how Ethan treated service staff with genuine kindness, how he listened to her opinions with real interest, how he respected her boundaries without making her feel guilty for having them. Most importantly, she saw how he genuinely cared about the children she taught, attending one of her classes and engaging with the kids as equals. One evening, sitting on a bench overlooking the river, Jasmine finally made her decision. "I want to do it. I want to build the education center with you." Ethan turned to her with undisguised joy. "Really? You're sure?" "I'm sure," Jasmine said, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. "But on one condition. We structure it so that if anything happens to you or your company, the center has independent funding to continue. I won't build something that could collapse if circumstances change." "Absolutely," Ethan agreed immediately. "We'll set up an endowment and establish a board of directors. The center will be built to last generations. Not just years, it's a new beginning." 6 months later, Jasmine stood in the completed Riverside Photography Education Center, watching 20 children explore state-of-the-art cameras and equipment. The space was everything she had dreamed of and more. Large windows filled the rooms with natural light. Professional dark rooms sat beside modern digital editing stations. Exhibition walls displayed student work with pride. Ethan came up beside her, slipping his hand into hers naturally. Their relationship had grown steadily over the months, built on friendship and shared purpose before deepening into love. They had learned each other slowly, without the artificial pressure of that first magical evening. "Happy?" he asked softly. "Beyond happy," Jasmine replied, watching a young girl's face light up as she captured her first photograph. "This is everything I hoped it would be. You did this," Ethan said firmly. "Your vision, your passion, your expertise. I just helped remove some obstacles." Jasmine turned to face him, standing on her toes to kiss him gently. "We did this together, and that's what makes it perfect." The lesson learned that evening, they stood together on the center's rooftop terrace as the sun set over the city. Jasmine thought back to that night at the gallery when she had been scared, uncertain, and convinced she had to achieve everything alone. "I almost walked away from this," she said quietly. "From the center, from you, from everything. My pride almost cost me the most meaningful experiences of my life." Ethan wrapped his arm around her shoulders. "I almost let loneliness and cynicism convince me that genuine connection wasn't possible. We both almost let fear make our decisions for us. What changed? Jasmine asked, though she knew the answer. We chose to be vulnerable, Ethan said simply. We chose to trust that something real was possible, even when it felt risky and uncertain. We chose each other. Below them, through the center's windows, they could see children laughing and creating. Discovering their artistic voices just as Jasmine had dreamed, the center would impact hundreds of lives over the years, maybe thousands. But it had already transformed lives completely by bringing Jasmine and Ethan together. Thank you, Jasmine whispered, for seeing me that night. For recognizing the value in what I wanted to create. Thank you for reminding me what matters, Ethan replied. For showing me that success without meaning is just comfortable emptiness. As the city lights began twinkling below them, Jasmine felt profound gratitude for Riley's emergency call that had led her to cover that gallery event. What had seemed like a simple favor had become the catalyst for everything beautiful in her life now. Sometimes the most significant moments arrive disguised as ordinary requests from friends. Sometimes saying yes to something that scares you opens doors you never imagined existed. And sometimes the connection you find in one unexpected evening becomes the foundation for a lifetime of meaning, purpose, and love. Jasmine and Ethan stood together as darkness settled over the city. Two people from different worlds who had found common ground and shared values and authentic connection. The education center thrived below them, filled with the sound of children discovering their creative power. And above it all, two hearts beat in sync, grateful for the courage to choose vulnerability over fear, partnership over pride, and love over loneliness. The favor that had changed everything turned out to be a gift to them both.